Don't it feel like we're back in the whole lot of red days when we were checking the HTML or JavaScript code on Playboi Carti's website to see if it had any clues as to what the release date was or any information about the album, because the amount of intel that he gives his fans is drier than my mother's cooch when she forgets to apply her Vagisil. But it's all good, because I think what y'all want is coming very, very soon. In that, if you haven't been on Twitter or Instagram or any social media in the past couple of hours, essentially Playboi Carti and or his label / team have updated his website shop.playboicarti.com to have a new password function that there probably isn't even a password for. You have to recite some demonic code from a lost satanic language. And in itself, this is already an update, because normally people don't touch their websites unless they're about to drop merch or they have some big news like a tour or even an album in this case. However, it doesn't mean all too much until some people actually got past this password and it landed them on a white screen with the music logo, which, as we all know, is Playboi Carti's upcoming, at least placeholder title for the album. And although Carti has teased multiple times in the last couple of performances at different festivals and shows that it's time or new music coming soon, this is the first time that he's actually referred to the literal word music that he teased back in 2022 on a XXL or Rolling Stone interview, because obviously just music is a pretty vague word to title your music. But regardless, Carti's kind of known for dumbing down his music in a way. That's why everybody loves it, and so music kind of does make sense. But with that being said, a couple hours later, unfortunately, the password is now gone and the music logo was removed from the website. So in a matter of hours, Playboi Carti has already crushed all of his fans' dreams. However, then we found out shortly following, a couple days ago, news that Playboi Carti was rescheduling some of his tour dates at the beginning of his Antagonist tour with Homicide Gang, Destroy the Lonely, Ken Carson, the whole Opium Camp. But instead of canceling or potentially postponing with no confirmation that there was going to be other shows to replace those dates, now he has officially rescheduled the entire US leg of this Antagonist tour to 2024, meaning that now the tour will actually start in Dublin, or Europe as a whole, in November of 2023, giving us a lot more time for something to happen between now and then. Because if it had started in September, that's only in a couple days. However, it starts in November. Now we got, 2.5 months or so for him to finally release something. For, as we already discussed, he was trying to allegedly release a new single, Killers/Wicked, but because that song was getting passed around like Brittany Renner, he was threatening, saying that there's gonna be delays to the album now. But I think the fans called Bolshevik, because dude was already delaying the whole entire album process for like 3 years. But in my opinion, there's actually a lot of coinciding evidence that we actually could get the album before this November European leg of the tour when it starts. Because firstly, we discussed yesterday on stream that Ken Carson has not been allowed to release his project coming up called A Great Chaos for whatever reason. He's blaming his label, and therefore that's potentially Carti or Interscope. And really the only reasons as to why this would be is, one, because they don't think the album's going to do as well, or they're not seeing as much growth from him, which is what I discussed last night. Or now that we got this new information, is because Carti might be trying to drop some music, and of course if he drops, then everybody underneath him grows, because he will substantially grow, just as he has increased his Spotify monthly listeners like 30 million between Whole Lotta Red and now, by not even dropping any singles as the primary artist. In addition to that, if you also recall, there was an email from like a Mercedes-Benz stadium in Germany where in the confirmation email after buying the tickets, it was claiming that Playboi Carti was going to be performing his new album Music that had yet to be released. However, just like the website, it was retracted with the swiftness. And so that's what makes me think that he does all this shit on purpose. Like, it obviously could be a mistake by the label giving up too much information, because a lot of other artists that are probably signed under Interscope or any of these major labels, like, they're not as secretive with this type of intel. But with him, I think they release it and then remove it within like an hour or so, just so nobody's really too sure when he's going to release his album, or if he's going to release the album, which adds a lot more mystery to his already pretty shady figure. And so yes, again, with all of this data that we've received in the past couple of months, I know it's not a lot, but I'm going back to the Whole Lotta Red theory days, in that I do think that there's going to be something, whether it's a single or an album, dropping before the tour actually starts. Because if it started in September like was originally planned, he literally would only have like another week before he could release an album, and the rollout hasn't even started yet. Not that he really needs that because he has all the hype of every single artist in the game combined, other than maybe like Travis Scott or Drake or Uzi maybe. But now that he's delayed this US tour leg, he has plenty of time, like the 2.5 months or so that we discussed earlier, to actually drop something. And not only that, the tour will definitely sell way better if there's new music, because as we've discussed, he's performed a whole lot of Red songs for the last 3 years, and therefore there's like minimal reason to go to these shows other than to inject 50 cc's of bath salts and go crazy with other opium fanboys, which is a great time, I imagine. No shade whatsoever. And then when he goes on tour with all of the opium signees underneath him, because he's performing new music and more people are gonna buy tickets to their shows, he's gonna attract more fans for them, more bread in their pocket, more bread in his pocket. Everybody grows their fan base substantially, and bada bing, bada boom, music. But at the same time, I wanted to get the opposite perspective in that Joey Ismail in my Instagram comments actually made a fairly good point, in that he said Academics broke it down already. It's because he ain't booked with Live Nation. The people he booked with are the same people who book with Lil Baby, Moneybagg Yo, and that's why all of them are canceling. This touring company announces shows and then they end up not selling well, and then they have to end up canceling the tour because they haven't filled up a lot of the seats. And the last thing a rapper wants to do is go on a tour date and get smoked perp, by which there are only like 50 people in the crowd, and then everybody starts posting TikToks of an empty stadium or warehouse, and that would be terrible, especially in Playboi Carti's situation where he has this cult following. It would decimate everybody's morale about this album. And we already saw on social media and Reddit that a bunch of seats at his shows were still available, whether that be because the price was so high or just because there were too many seats for a Playboi Carti show, especially given that we are actually in a recession this time. I know a lot of people in 2020 were making that excuse, but they were printing hella bills back then. And so perhaps with a high likelihood, this could just be that the US leg did not have enough time to promote on social media and various websites to actually sell the tickets, and so he's postponing all those dates. They can use a different promotion company or a touring group to be able to pack out all of those seats. But given both perspectives, take everything with a grain of salt, because nobody really knows what's going on. And I know Academics broke it down for a lot of these street rappers, but as we all know, Carti actually does have a fan base that has the money and will throw it to be able to see him live. However, maybe not if he doesn't drop music prior to the tour. Oh, and of course, while recording this video, we got some more information from Heaven or Hell, which I think runs group buys or is in like the leak space. They know some insider information, at least from my understanding. I could be wrong. Take everything with some cayenne pepper at this point, not even just salt. But he responded on Discord to people asking about the timeline for release schedules for Carti, Ken, Lone, everybody in Opium, and he responded, oh yeah, that was the plan like a month ago. The idea was for Ken to drop August 4th and then Carti late August/September, but that he didn't know if that was still the case to this day, and he hasn't heard anything about any changes. And given that Ken Carson has been pushing the A Great Chaos rollout for the last few months, it would make sense that he was supposed to drop in August, but it just kept getting postponed. And a lot of times in music, especially when you have more creative control, because you actually have a fan base that the labels are comfortable with letting you release the album and put the money into, it's really up to the artist when they release their albums, and that is why Carti delays his project. So whenever anybody tells you that the label's stopping him, that's just not true. So if Carti is actually planning to drop in September, like all of these theories that we've been discussing in this video, it was somewhat confirmed by the previous plan that Heaven or Hell just stated on Discord. But with all that being said, this is all speculation. I really have no insider information. I don't even think Carti knows what he's doing. He's literally delaying his tour 7 days before it was supposed to start, so your guess is just as good as mine. But it's been your boy Bobbalam signing off. Already copied my chemistry set off of Amazon so I can get these bath salts ready for the show, of course, guys. Hit my IG DMs. But y'all let me know in the comments, do you think Carti is dropping before the European leg of his tour, or is all of this just cap and all these antics are just random events that we will put down in our history books for years to come? Of course, make sure to like, subscribe to the Bob Gang if you with it. Peace out, clap people. No, see.